Good evening. It's Thursday, September 17th, 2020. I'm Joe, pastor at First Presbyterian Church here in Smithfield, North Carolina, serving the congregation and communities here in Johnson County in eastern North Carolina. I welcome you all this evening to our reflection and sharing in God's Word, and especially on what is a kind of cool, blustery, rainy day as the remnants of Hurricane Sally pass through our area. Yesterday evening, I shared the courageous tale of a woman of faith, a young woman of faith in Queen Esther, who saved her people from destruction. This particular story lays the foundation for a Jewish holiday, Purim, which is usually celebrated in the spring about mid-March or thereabouts. Tonight, though, I'm going to continue with that theme, connecting us with our Jewish roots in the Old Testament and the Hebrew Bible, because tomorrow evening, Friday, September 18th, begins the Jewish holiday of Rosh Hashanah, or the New Year. And I'm going to share this with you because it's an opportunity to reflect on our own Christian traditions, but also a reminder, because I think as a pastor, even I sometimes forget the important roots and foundation and connection of our Jewish background that helps connect us with the new promise that we are given in Jesus Christ. So I want to start with the passage in Leviticus that sets this new year in its rightful place. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the people of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, on the first day of the month, you shall observe a day of complete rest, a holy convocation, commemorated with trumpet blasts. You shall not work at your occupations, and you shall present the Lord's offering by fire." This constitutes this new year. It's treated as a Sabbath-like day. It's 48 hours, actually. It's 2 days combined because the day is so important. And the meaning is fourfold. In the Jewish New Year, it means the day of judgment. It's a day of opportunity to repent, to reflect upon what has taken place in the past year, and if possible, to make amends for it. It's a day of shofar blowing of the horn, or the trumpet blast, in which the trumpets are sounded, and it's to awaken us from our slumber, to pay attention, to make us aware of our actions, our words, our deeds, and the repercussions they have, and again, a time of reflection. It's a day of remembrance, and that's something I want you to hold on to for the course of our reflection tonight. The Jewish community, they remember the history of their people, and they pray for their nation. And it is believed that Adam and Eve were created on this day. Our spiritual forebears is all humanity. And above all, it is New Year's Day, the head of the new year, literally translated. And it's celebrated with greeting cards and special prayers, and there's festivities and the eating of sweet food, such as apples dipped in honey, to ensure sweetness in the new year. And I think that's something, in hindsight, maybe we should have all done back in January of 2020. The 10 days that follow are also considered the days of awe, days of repentance. They lead up and will approach Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. And during this time, the people of faith are expected to consider their sins of the previous year, the repentance, reflecting on the Day of Judgment, and to make amends where possible, and to reach out and do what they can, and to wish everybody Shana Tova, Happy New Year in Hebrew. So tonight, let's consider our connections as Christians who followed Jesus, who was the son of Mary and Joseph and was raised to be a good Jewish boy, but also how Paul reminds us of that connection. And this comes to us from chapter 11 at verse 17. Paul writes, "But if some of the branches were broken off, and you, a wild olive shoot, were grafted in their place to share the rich root of the olive tree, do not boast over the branches. If you do boast, remember that it is not you that support the root, but the root that supports you. You will say, branches were broken off so that I might be grafted in. That is true. They were broken off because of their unbelief, but you stand only through faith. So do not become proud, but stand in awe. For if God did not spare the natural branches, perhaps he will not spare you. Note then the kindness and the severity of God. Severity toward those who have fallen, but kindness toward you, provided you continue in his kindness. Otherwise, you also will be cut off. And even those of Israel, if they do not persist in unbelief, will be grafted in, for God has the power to graft them in again. For if you've been cut off from what is by nature a wild olive tree, and grafted contrary to nature into a cultivated olive tree, how much more will the natural branches be grafted back into their own olive tree? This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. We hear this story, and we hear of the power of God to restore what has been broken, to call the Gentile community, which applies to most of us, into the new covenant in Jesus Christ that imparts to us God's kindness, God's love, and we are called to continue to emulate that model in our deeds, in our words, and our actions. But it also reminds us that we are called not to judge others because of their lack of unbelief, that with God and God's purpose and plan, all things are called into reconciling love in him, and that we are not to judge, but to stand in awe, to be grateful for what God has given us. And that's what I want to go back to, is that it's not a birthright that I should be part of the covenant community. It is a generous and gracious gift from the one who made us. And that's something I invite you to begin thinking about, especially as in the Jewish community, they will be looking at the next 10 days as a time to reflect, but it might be beneficial for us all to use the days and the weeks ahead to reflect on who we are, to see where we have erred in our ways, perhaps to make changes, to make amends where we can, and also to be very mindful that our words and deeds have consequences. And I don't think it's a coincidence. I really believe it's providence that I've ended up discussing these holy days and part of the Jewish calendar, especially coming off of last week where we had September 11th, which is a day of remembrance as a nation and as a people. My intent each night is to share God's word and to reflect on God's good promises, of God's love, of God's kindness. But tonight is also in the spirit of a day of remembrance, to remember who you are and to whom you belong and the implications of that. As a pastor, I was greatly disturbed this past week to hear and read the results of a recent survey that said among a younger generation that very few of them, 63% was the number thrown about, don't know that 6 million Jews were murdered in the Holocaust. Add to that, the overall victims of the Nazis were 11 million, and all those caught up in World War II, and the numbers continue to grow from there. Human lives. And it's disturbing to know that less than 48% of them could not name one concentration camp or death camp. Now, I don't mean to be grim, but in reality, we have to remember who we are and to whom we belong, lest we repeat the lessons, hard-earned lessons we've learned in the past. As a pastor, I am deeply troubled in spirit that we have this kind of cultural amnesia, that we have forgotten our errors, and if we forget them, we can't reflect upon them. And as a historian, which was my initial calling in life, that to see these hard lessons come unlearned I do fear we will have to repeat the cycle all over again. So, to our question tonight, who are you? And to whom do you belong? And I want to close tonight's reflection. I think this is very appropriate with a favorite prayer of Corrie ten Boom, who and her family risked their lives and their safety, and in a couple of cases gave their lives to protect those of the Jewish community who were being oppressed. And she had a favorite prayer and poem from an American minister, Grant Colfax Talar, and he wrote The Weaver. And I'd like to share that with you as our closing tonight. My life is but a weaving between my God and me. I cannot choose the colors, he weaveth steadily. Oft times he weaveth sorrow, and I in foolish pride forget he sees the upper, and I the underside. Not till the loom is silent, and the shuttles cease to fly, will God unroll the canvas, and reveal the reason why. The dark threads are as needful in the weaver's skillful hand as the threads of gold and silver in the pattern he has planned. He knows, he loves, he cares, nothing this truth can dim. He gives the very best to those who leave the choice to him. May the same Spirit of God bring us comfort tonight. The light of Christ illumine us, and in that light may the love of Christ abide with us. And above all, may the peace of God be with you. Until we meet again, Shana Tova, Happy New Year.